Innovation Centre in partnership with Engineering for Industry and some other partners. We want to appreciate each and every one of us for making our time to be part of this, most especially our panelists, knowing very well that all of us, we run a very tight schedule, and we promise you as much as possible as we've communicated with you, we will work within the time frame that we have for this engagement. Good morning. My name is Omotayo Olorunfemi. I'll be the moderator for today's engagement, and I am the founder of Teachers Academy Africa. Teachers Academy Africa is a capacity development company where we help teachers, we upskill and reskill teachers to make them relevant for the 21st century. We also do more of edtech consultancy, that is education technology consultancy, and we have a number of partners we work with in the education technology industry. We run pre-service and in-service teachers training. We do curriculum design and development. We also engage in policy dialogue and advocacy. And it's part of all of this that brought us to be part of what is happening here this morning. So we want to welcome everyone once again. That's myself. I want to thank everyone once again for making our time to be here. Please, one or two very quick general instructions, so to say, or just information so that we will be able to follow along very carefully. Number one, we will be using more of the chat section of the Zoom platform. So if you have question, there's a section for Q&A. If there's something you want to say, you can either use the chat section. If there's a question that you have, you could also use the question. And then if we will have polls along the line, we'll also share some polls with us. And then we will also ask us to attend to that. If you want to say something in the course of this interaction and deliberation this morning, you could just use, there's a section of your Zoom from your option section. You can actually just raise your hand, click on the raise your hand button, and we will see you. And then if time permits, we will definitely ask you to speak to us. So please, generally, that's part of the basic guidelines we will want us to note. All right, quickly, I'll be welcoming Dr. Innocent Obo. He will be doing two things. He will be giving us a welcome remark since he was standing in for Professor Ofyong, and then he will also be giving us a welcoming note as a co-organizer of this webinar. You have 1 minute each for this, and you have 2 minutes altogether. Dr. Innocent, you have the floor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Innocent Obo, an associate professor of chemical engineering and the vice dean, Faculty of Engineering, University of Uyo. I've been asked by the dean of engineering, University of Uyo.
I'm not seeing him.
Can you see me now?
I'm not seeing you. I'm seeing the moderator. I'm not seeing you.
Check.
Okay,
I can see myself.
Yes, he's on the tile. I'm actually spotlighting myself, so you'll see more of myself. So you can continue, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
I've been asked by the Dean of Engineering, University of Uyo, Professor Aneka Ofyong, who is unavoidably absent, to represent him in this webinar titled Enhancing Industry Academy Collaborations, how to bridge the gap between tertiary institutions and the industry. He asked me to welcome you all and wish you all a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So can we also have the welcome note from you as the co-organizer of this webinar, sir?
This webinar is an interesting one, and I wish that as we participate today, as we go through the deliberations, we will discover that there is actually a need for a collaboration between the academia and the industry. So I welcome everybody to this webinar and wish you all again, like I said, a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Obot. Thank you so much. Most importantly, thank you for helping us keep to time and be very, very timely. Thank you so much. All right, so I'll be welcoming the host of this webinar, and who is the principal partner for the Engineering for Industry project. Who is the lead implementing partner for the E4I project, Mr. Tochukwu Clinton Chukwueke, the founder of CIC, E4I, and good morning, sir. You're welcome, sir. You have the floor for the introduction, sir. You have 4 minutes, sir.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And special thanks to the participants and then the panelists and the moderator for gracing this webinar. I'm the founder of Clintonel. My name is Tochukwu, as the president has said. I'm the founder of Clintonel Innovation Centre, CIC Aba. CIC is Nigeria's first makerspace or engineering tech hub, where we provide training, mentoring, and equipment for young people to create innovations, build new products, and then start up new businesses. We are the lead implementing partner for Engineering for Industry. Engineering for Industry is a project to bridge the skills gap, engineering skills gap in Nigeria, to facilitate collaboration between the industry and the academia to transform engineering education in Nigeria and then drive industrialization. We want to see a Nigeria where our engineers design and build products and the projects that we consume instead of depending on importation. That's the overall objective of the E4I project. Then the E4I project has a lot of things that we will be doing, which includes we're already working on that. We'll be conducting a research, and then we'll be publishing a white paper on how to bridge the engineering skills gap in Nigeria. So that project is already ongoing. We are working with 11 engineering lecturers across 11 tertiary institutions all over the country, who are interviewing over 200 engineering professionals in different industries to learn from them what gaps exist in their various sectors, and then also to pool ideas on how to bridge this gap. So the purpose of that whatever is to create a blueprint which will guide the government and other stakeholders to be able to transform engineering education in Nigeria. In addition to the white paper, we've created a forum called Industry Academia Forum, where the forum's mandate is to work towards enhancing collaboration between the industry and the academia. The E4I project will also involve capacity building for engineering lecturers, undergraduates, and for fresh graduates. It will involve creating opportunities for internship, both for students of engineering and for lecturers in different industries. There will also be opportunity to fund research and development in the tertiary institutions. And we'll also be working to commercialize innovations developed by different tertiary institutions, different students and lecturers. Yeah. We'll also be running an academy, Engineering for Industry Academy, where it will be a finishing school, where fresh engineering graduates will come, and then we prepare them, equip them to be able to deliver service in the industry. In addition to this, we will be conducting an advocacy for a review of engineering education policy and curriculum in Nigeria. We'll also be reaching out to the secondary schools, where we will help to build and train students in STEM clubs. And we'll also be organizing annual engineering competition, where we would identify innovations in the country and encourage and support those innovations to become commercialized. So we're doing many more things under the Engineering for Industry project, but we'll provide more details as the project progresses. Once again, thank you for joining. And then we want to also give special thanks to the organizations supporting the E4I project. E4I project is supported or funded by the ACT Foundation. We are grateful for that. It's also supported by Engineering X, which is an international collaboration founded by the Royal Academy of Engineering, and then supported by the Lord's Register Foundation. So thank you again, and then let's have a wonderful section. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Tochukwu. Thank you so much, Mr. Tochukwu, for that brief introduction that you just did as regards CIC and what you do at CIC, as well as concerning this engineering for industry project. Everyone will agree with me that this is actually quite a laudable project, and there's so much to be benefited, either you are in the academia or you are in the industry. All right, very quickly we will be moving on to introducing our panelists for this morning's session, and I will be starting with Engineer Precious Adeboboye. Engineer Precious Adeboboye. I'll do a very brief introduction. Please, our panelists, you will permit me to just do a small summary of our various profile and bio, because what I have here, if I'm to read everything that we have here, it's going to be a little difficult for us to be able to run through everything we will be talking all of our bio. All right, so Engineer Precious Adeboboye is the founder and CEO of APRE Engineering, an organization that is geared towards providing effective technical services that span across engineering design, procurement, installation, construction, operation and maintenance of electrical and electronic systems for residential, commercial, and industrial purposes. She's also the founder of SIM Network, which stands for Smart Intelligent Mind Network. She's a professional electrical engineer with over 6 years working experience in the oil and gas industry. She's a member of the Nigerian Society for Engineers and also a registered engineer with the Council for Registered Engineers in Nigeria. That's correct. She's the author of the book, Don't Make PNCN Rich, an ultimate guide to being energy efficient and cutting down on monthly electrical bill. She's also an innovator, a creative enthusiast, a thought leader, a song writer. Engineer Precious Adeboboye, you're welcome. Thank you for making out time to be part of our discussion this morning. Thank you for being part of this. Now, the next speaker I'll be introducing is Professor Mana Utaketo. Professor Mana Utaketo. Professor Mana is a professor of electrical engineering in University of Uyo, Nigeria. Professor Mana teaches electrical and control engineering courses and engineering and applied mathematics to undergraduate and postgraduate students at the University of Uyo in Nigeria. He has reviewed several research papers for academic and research institutions. He has conducted researches.
Thank you for having me.
He has Professor Mana has researched and published over 50 research papers, which include papers in systems and control engineering, electronics, physics, and higher mathematics. Professor Mana has won several international awards in control engineering, such as Who is Who in the World, Who is Who in Science and Engineering, Who is Who in America, and solely published 17 textbooks, 5 in higher mathematics and 12 in engineering. He has both industry and academic experiences, and he has also taught at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Professor Mana is He has carried out researches in various institutions and currently is at University of Uyo, where he currently lectures as a professor of system and control engineering. Is deeply into advanced control engineering. We want to welcome you, sir. I just had to cut out of the intro because there's really so much to have said about Professor Manandi's experience and foray. One of the beauty of this is he has had experience and foray both in the academia and in the industry. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Professor Mana.
Thank you very much.
Thirdly, I will be introducing Engineer Chineye Wogugu. Engineer Chineye Wogugu is a registered chemical engineer and also registered with COREN. Is a member of Nigerian Society of Engineering, and he finished from Federal University of Technology, Owerri. He has advanced training in health, safety, and environment, and also Nigerian Institute of Safety Professional, as well as other advanced degrees both within and outside Nigeria. Engineer Chineye is the CEO of McJames Resources. He has single-handedly and jointly researched and developed and manufactured over 60 chemical products being used in water treatment, household, institutions, farms and oil fields, and other industry from 2003 to date, and is still counting. He has won various awards. He has been selected as one of among the top 1,000 innovation in Africa. He has been involved in a lot of initiatives both with the state and federal government, channeled towards youth capacity development as well as innovations in the area of STEM. He is currently the managing director of McJames Global Resources. Engineer Chineye Wogugu, thank you so much, sir, for making out time to be part of our engagement this morning. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Last but not the least, on the list of our speaker for this morning engagement is Professor Charles Uko. Professor Charles Uko. Professor Charles Uko obtained his BSc in civil engineering with a first class in 1978 from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Professor Charles Uko completed his NYSC at Kwara Polytechnic in 1979 and then worked in the industry as well at MRT Consulting Engineers before he went out of the country to further his education. Between 1984 and 88, Professor Charles Uko worked as a lecturer at the Civil Engineering Department of University of Port Harcourt. In 1988, he was appointed as a commissioner for land and housing. In 1998, he joined the PTF, that is the Petroleum Special Trust Fund, where I believe he worked with our current president, the current president of Nigeria. And then from there, he proceeded to work at NDDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission, up to 2002, when he returned to the academic, where he served as the acting head of department for civil engineering. He's a registered engineer with COREN. He has also served as the Deputy Vice Chancellor of University of Uyo between 2011 and 2010. And he serves as consultant to other consultants in the civil engineering field. Professor Charles Uko, we want to really say thank you for making our time to be here this morning and be part of our discussion this morning. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So very quickly, we'll be having about 3 different sessions for our engagement this morning, and it will run at 10 minutes apart. It will run at 20 minutes apart. And in each of this session, I'll be asking our panelists certain questions. We'll give you just about 1 minute to attend to this, 1-2 minutes at most to attend to this question. And then what we will be doing is we will be giving opportunity after each session, after the first, say, 10-15 minutes for our first session, we'll give the next 10 minutes to our participants to ask questions. So for our participants, as the speakers are making their contribution and submission, please, if you have questions, you could use the Q&A section and just drop your question there. We will see it. And then we will also pick your question. And then if you will want to use the raised hand option, I could see someone raising his or her hand. Please, we're not yet taking any contribution or question yet. If it's a question, you could drop it in the Q&A, or during the question time, we will pick your question. So very quickly, for our first session, so this will be the order. I will start with Engineer Precious, and then move to Professor Mana, and then Engineer Chine, and then Professor Charles. So that's how we're going to proceed this morning. So, Engineer Precious, as an engineering CEO, do you think the industry needs the academia, or that is, how important is educational institution to the industry? You can unmute yourself and talk to us. Engineer Precious, can you please unmute yourself? Engineer Precious.
Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone.
It's not audible. I'm not hearing her. She's breaking.
Yes.
She's breaking.
Engineer Precious, can you talk to us now? Okay, I think we may need to go over to Professor Professor Mana. I think that's what we're going to do now, so that we can just make up for. So, Professor Mana,
yeah.
You worked in the industry before joining the academia. Have you ever been involved in a collaboration between the industry and academia while you were in this industry? If yes, can you please share? Can you just share briefly with us?
Thanks very much for that question. Not as an individual, that is not as a professional engineer, but the corporation at itself had several interactions with the academia. Okay, so the industry, the company I was working for, had a good collaboration with academia. For example, things like industrial attachment. A lot of opportunities were open for students to come in from tertiary institutions to do industrial attachment with the company I was working for. And while there, in fact, engineering students were always given the opportunity to have hands-on experience in what is good. Somebody is changing something. Okay.
No, continue as a whole.
Okay, engineering students were always given the opportunity to have hands-on experience in engineering activities, not asking an engineering student to go and work with the one secretary also. An engineering student would go onto the field, and they used to work with us in the field, and they do project management in the field. Then also, apart from industrial attachment, opportunities like sponsorship, scholarship opportunities for engineering students to take up engineering programs. The company provided that quite well. Then you have things like, say, the NYSC program, NYSC engineers coming into the company to serve. We make sure that they had hands-on experience. Then when it comes to something like, then you have sabbatical opportunities for lecturers in higher institutions coming into the industry to do sabbatical. Then after the program, which usually runs for about a year, when they go back, they used to go back with a lot of industry experience. Then in certain occasions, the establishment I was working for would have some kind of assistance to institutions as need be. Okay, they would have some kind of assistance to individuals, but that at the corporate level. But as an individual engineer, the part I played was that when these engineering students or interns come to work with us, we always make sure that they were exposed to. I personally was a beneficiary in such a program because as a student, I had very good hands-on experience when I went for industrial attachment. So that's the level of our involvement.
Your involvement. All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, Engineer Precious, I think you're back with us now. So I will be going back to you before I move to Engineer Chine. So Engineer Precious, please, you can unmute your mic. As an engineering CEO, do you think the industry needs the academia? Or how important is educational institutions to the industry? Engineer Precious.
I think she has muted her mic because nobody's hearing her.
Engineer Precious, please, I'm asking you to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, it is important. The industry actually needs, they need the academia because, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, even though your line is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Continue, ma'am.
I'm already unmuted.
Okay, continue, ma'am. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm actually using two systems now to pass it, but both networks are bad.
That's why you're having echo.
Shut down one and use one. Shut down one and use the other.
So,
Continue.
Just continue, ma'am.
all right. So I said, the industry actually needs the academy.
Tell her to close one. Tell her to shut down one and use one. That's why.
I think it's actually the foundation. I remember when I got my first job. Sorry, somebody saying something?
So, Engineer Precious, your network is actually quite bad.
It's there.
It's very difficult. It's been very difficult for us to really hear you audibly well. I wish if there's something, if you have a secondary network provider apart from the current network provider you're using, that will serve well for you to use, because we are not really hearing you very well. So in the meantime, while I allow you to still work on that, I will move over to Engineer Chine and then Professor Charles, and then still come back to you, ma'am. All right, Engineer Chine, your company, Mark James Global Resources Limited, has trained over 12,000 people from tertiary institutions and other places. Now, do you think Nigeria industries are willing to work with the academia?
Thank you very much, sir. I think the Nigerian industries are willing to work with the academia in the sense that most of the industries in Nigeria, they have existing programs and existing collaborations with the academia. So one of them, you have the CWES program from the universities, which my company, so far we have had over 10 IT students, so to speak. And we have also, collaborated with some tertiary institutions to train students. I think we have trained over 8,000 tertiary institution students so far, and other vocational institutions. So the industries, they have programs for collaboration with the academics, other research, because I know of most of the industries that go to some of the tertiary institutions to do researches and to collaborate with some professionals in those institutions to do their researches, and they collectively come up with solutions and innovations. Inventions that has worked in Nigeria. So the industries are very, very willing to work with the academia. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Professor Charles, please, you can unmute yourself because my question is going to be directed to you, sir. Professor Charles, sir, as a professor of civil engineering, as well as a former DVC of the university, how interested are the Nigerian tertiary institutions to collaborating with industries, with the industries?
The universities are very much interested, but we must look at where we are coming from. There is a general lack of trust in the Nigerian nation on the capacity of the academics. Right from the government at the federal level, they don't think that Nigerian academics have much to offer. Look at the last problem we had in ASU. Government went and bought IPPIS from outside this country. And university lecturers turned around and said, look, we can give you something better and at a cheaper cost. And they have now come up with the UTAS, which they have shown to the president and other federal government agents. And the system promises to work better than IPPIS. So the first problem is for the system to believe that Nigerian academics have much to offer. As once that happens, you see a lot of things coming up that will shock the nation.
Thank you so much, sir. Prof, I also noticed that your other device, the audio is on. So,
okay.
Yes, sir. So please help us mute the audio of your second device so that it will help us to hear you well, sir.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your submission. Engineer Precious, now, can you please unmute your mic and talk to us? Engineer Precious, I will retake the question I directed to you earlier on once again. So, Engineer Precious, as an engineering CEO, okay, good. As an engineering CEO, do you think the industry needs the academia? That is, how important is educational institution, the industry?
Okay, firstly, I would like to say that the industry can do with the academia, because it's like the foundation on which you have to build other blocks.
Okay.
Except we are looking at it from the artisan part. Okay. But as an engineer, you know that the academia is very, very important to the industry. I was citing an example that when I first got my first job, normally what we've heard is that there are certain things that you don't expect to be done in the industry, like whatever the Y, the X that you've learned will not be used in the industry. But I realized that it is different. It now depends on which aspect of the industry you are in. Because when I got in there, I realized that whatever I've done in school is actually as much as important as whatever I'm coming there to do. Is the foundation on which other things will be built. So imagine if you don't learn how to read and write, how do you intend to carry out some things? So the academia is totally important for the industry. And the second question is, I have it here on the other system. How important is educational institution? Yeah, to the industry? It is very much important. Without it, we cannot grow. Without it, we cannot. Let us forget all that we've heard past in school. I'm sure that everybody on this screen has gone through one school or the other. True. Let us forget it. It is very, very important in the industry. The first question my interviewer asked then was, what's the formula for power? And I'm like, Shebi, they said we don't need all these equations. We don't need all these formulas. But in reality, as soon as I got into the job and I began to do the work, I realized that it is important. Every equation, every formula that you are given is actually important. So you cannot rule out the academia role in the industry.
Thank you.
It is highly important.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for that. All right. At this junction, this will be the end of the first session of questions for our panelists. We want to pick questions if there are one or two questions. So to our participants, we are breaking our sessions in bits such that we can engage you as a participant as well in this discussion. So once we are having any session, if there are questions, please use the Q&A section and just you could drop your question there, or you could also use the webinar chats option as well. We're looking through both of them. Every question we see on any of those platforms, any of those sections, we will pick them. So far, I'm only having a question here, and the question is more or less directed to our to the host. Someone is asking, good day everyone. My question is directed towards E4I CEO. How can we reach out to you? Mr. Tochukwu Clinton. So this question is actually for you. Someone is asking if we want to reach out to you, how can we reach out to you?
Okay, thank you for that question. We will share our contact details at the end of this webinar, but you can easily just Google Clintonel Innovation Centre, CIC, on Google. So Google will give you our website, our email, our social media handles. You can just search our name, Clintonel Innovation Centre, or CIC Makerspace. Search on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, and you'll find the link to that. But we'll still share those at the end of the webinar. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Arisin Edopolo is raising up his hand. I want to believe perhaps you have a question, so I'm going to allow you to talk, but make sure your background is, so unmute yourself now. Unmute yourself. Okay, now you could talk to us.
Okay. I did my Professor Itaito taught me country in Europe before I left for the UK to do mechatronics and robotics engineering. My question goes to Professor Itaito, my lecturer, my boss. So my question is, I'm still trying to get the synergy between, especially in Nigeria, the synergy between the academia and the industry. Because out there, as I've seen some of my lecturers, whenever they have problem in the industry, they bring the problem to the school, to the lecturers, to figure out at the end, the lecturer gets back to the industry. But there is no synergy like that. And I'm also a lecturer here in Nigeria, in one of the schools in the East. Like yesterday, I finished designing my robot. I was like looking for a place where I can print out my robot, 3D printer. I made about 5 or 6 calls around me here, but nobody. They say, no, you have to go to Lagos. And it's not, they say there's a company in Lagos. In the East, down here, there is no 3D printer. I mean, it is really funny. And I beg our professors.
Okay, thank you so much.
Are you through with your question? Are you through? Can I come in now?
I've even unmuted him already. Yes, sir, you can come in now. before we will
I'm
make
very
some
happy.
other additions to that.
I'm
Yes.
very happy that one of my students is here. Yeah, I wish I could see his face so that I see if I can still
No.
recognize him. But all the same, it goes in the same line with what Professor Uko mentioned. It's lack of trust, lack of having confidence in what you have. You see, a lot of people don't know what they have. They go outside to do for what they have. The universities in Nigeria are capable of solving these problems. Now, what prevents industry have challenges? I wanted to talk on this elaborately, but since somebody has asked a question, let us come. How do you know you have a problem? Industries, the aim of an industry, any industry, is to produce products and sell it to the public. Quantity and quality is what comes in here. Okay, let's say somebody's producing detergents. There are a lot of competitors in detergent. You have Omo, you have Zip, you have this and that. Now, there is no feedback from the public, from the consumer to the producer. How are we doing? For example, if you buy anything you buy outside this country, you see a paper there, tell us how we are doing. That is customer feedback, prepaid, postage prepaid. You will write and tell the manufacturer of that product, this is the way I noticed that there's a deficiency here. That will provide a feedback to the producer, and the producer will now have input from the consumer to correct what has not been done right. But there's no such thing in Nigeria. Anything you buy in the store, there's no feedback. Okay, now we are in the ICT age. There's nothing wrong in any manufacturer putting his phone number or putting the phone number of the company or the email address with an inscription there, tell us how we are doing. As simple as that. When this information gets back to the manufacturer, they will now know the gap. There is a gap in their product. All what we are producing in Nigeria is quantity. We are not looking at quality. We're targeting quantity, not quality. So quality is what determines how people patronize you. So if this information gets back to the manufacturers, they can now improve upon their product. That's number one. Number two, if they cannot, the university is a think tank. It's a reservoir of professionals, academia, okay? Most of the universities, they have consultancy units, even at a departmental level. There are consultancy units. I believe any industry has problems. If you cannot solve that problem, direct it to the academia. And the industry is not actually set up to conduct research as such. Their business is to produce. Okay, even if they have quality and assurance unit, it's not going to be like a research unit that is set up in the university. So it goes the same way to say that they don't have any confidence in us. In fact, some establishments, if they have problems, they prefer to run to foreign countries. In fact, Ghana here, you don't believe that people go to Ghana to consult and leave Nigerian universities. People go to some West African universities, even Central African universities to consult, whereas we don't have confidence in us. I don't even talk about going to abroad, going to UK to consult in things that could be solved here. Because they don't know, the ignorance and lack of trust and lack of confidence, we have the capacity. I can challenge any person. In my department, University of Uyo, if empty, let me not mention any company, electrical establishment that has problem, contact us. We have my students is there. Okay. I taught in control engineering. I taught that student. Now he's able to be robot. No, I'm not done. Right. Let's put the record straight. We should have confidence in what we have. We should have confidence in what we have.
Yes,
we can solve that problem.
Yes,
we can solve that problem.
Yeah. That had been well noted. Confidence, the need for us to have confidence in what we have, such that there could be effective synergy and collaboration between the industry and the academia. For me, I also feel that perhaps one of the major bridging gap may just be communication. We need to find a platform like this now, where the industry and the academia could sit down and talk to know what we can do and what we cannot do. Thank you so much, sir, for that contribution. Very quickly, I have just two more questions. I'll just take these two questions and we'll move to the second session. Okay, Mr. Clinton, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Someone mentioned that there is no 3D printer.
3D printer. Yeah, thank God. I almost forgot to call on you to make a submission. Yes,
so in Aba here, we have 2 3D printers. Just in Aba here, we have an industrial 3D printer that can print human size scale, and then we have a desktop 3D printer. So you can check us at Clintonel Innovation Centre. We have 3D printers in the East. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
Sometimes
so much.
you need to Google. If you Google, you will see these things are available. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, thank you for that contribution. I was going to talk about that too as well. All right, so very quickly, someone is asking a question. It's a good day, all. My question is for all the panelists. So we won't be able to take all the panelists. I think we may just address this to maybe Mr. Engineer Chine. He said a lot of engineering students find it very difficult to get companies for internship. So please, how can that be conquered? Engineer Chine, since you're in the industry, can you just unmute yourself and talk to us 1 minute? How do we conquer the challenge of engineering student finding company for internship as one in the industry?
Thank you very much for that beautiful question. I think it's a problem that is very easy to solve. One of the ways is this same collaboration between the industry and the academia that we are talking about. If the academia have existing collaborations with the industries, it becomes very easy to recommend their students to those industries, and they will be accepted in that vein. So that is one of the active ways of solving this problem. Then another way coming from the industry is for the industries to send their requests to the academia, so that the academia can also recommend the students that fits into those requests and then send them to the industry for industrial attachment. I think then most of the times it's not only jobs, maybe paid job that are being advertised. I think the academia too, they can pick the target industries based on the students' attachment, student course, and the skill they want those students to acquire, and then send those adverts to the industries. But I don't see that happening, so that should be happening, so that these industries will be able to know that these students that needs to acquire these skills, that are studying these courses, are available for the attachment, and then they can as well accept those students.
Accept for it. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your submission. Lastly, for this session, Professor Charles, I will be combining two questions for you to answer, two different questions for you to answer. The first question says, good morning. Going to what Professor Uko said, there is a little trust for the Nigerian academia in the industry. I think it's because the Nigerian academia does not focus attention on the present problems facing the various industries. What is the Nigerian academia doing to tailor its works towards developing realistic and internationally competitive solutions which address the real problems facing the industries? And then to that, I also want to add this question. I'll just paraphrase it. Someone is asking, at the universities, most especially for someone like yourself, who has also served at the administrative arm of the industry, of the institution, as well as in the classroom as well, are the universities willing to introduce some of our training courses as a certificate program in their institutions? He said, I believe this will all bring more collaboration. So I think what this person is saying is maybe like an artisan, or say someone like Engineer Chineye now, what he does, the various trainings he's involved with and all of that. Now, will the industry, will the academic be interested in bringing in some of these trainings as certificate programs in the institutions to further foster collaboration? Professor Charles, sir.
Thank you very much. Concerning the first question, it is a problem noticed everywhere. That the bulk of
Prof, sir.
Yes.
Can you just put off, maybe you disconnect the other device?
Yes, I've done that. You find a situation in which The bulk of the publications coming out from universities are basically for promotion. They have very little relevance to national needs at this time. And again, the industrial base is very faulty. Look at Akwa Ibom State here. Which industry are you talking about? I only know of Champion Breweries. There is no other industry that somebody can beat his chest and say, there is this functional industry over there. So we have been running an economy based on imports. Virtually every level of government wants more revenue to import things. Even the situation we are finding now, government doesn't still seem to understand that this post-COVID-19 Nigeria is going to require academics making serious input. The US is very conscious of this. A few days ago, they asked 1,000 Chinese research students to leave because they said they are acquiring or even stealing trade secrets through the university laboratories. So the universities can help, but we need a lot of change in orientation. Because the current orientation is that everything can be imported, and therefore you don't need to waste time going to university laboratory. So we need to have that change, even at the university level. You see some young academics telling you that they have 80 journal publications. And you ask him, have you earned 1 kobo from any of these publications? Nothing. Because those papers are just for promotion. And even though you can say it's a contribution to knowledge, most of them are not useful contributions to knowledge. So that has to change. So that even our promotion criteria should also change. That if an academic comes up with a research that is commercializable, that can bring out products that can be marketed, it can be promoted professor, even without 1 paper that he has brought out. Instead of waiting for somebody to come out with 70 papers that have no relevance.
Thank you so much,
universities, as for training, when I was Deputy Vice Chancellor, we wanted every engineering student to graduate not just with a degree, but with certifications in many areas, especially in the ICT. Of course, that dream died as soon as I left. Nobody was there to push it again. But it's very, very essential that a student comes and said, I have BEng in civil engineering. I am also an Oracle certified practitioner. I have CompTIA and the rest of those things there. That will make the students to be better than what we are doing now. And we also have to work on our laboratories.
All right.
The current laboratories we have now cannot help universities to participate very well in industry.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your submission. You really raised a lot of very important points. You really raised a very important point. All right, we'll go to section 2. Our section 2 very quickly because section 2, our second session, because of time. There are 1 or 2 other questions there. I can see them for the participant. I can see the questions, but we can't take all of them at this time. Well, immediately after the second round of questions, I will start with the questions that were asked earlier before I will take the new questions. Okay, so for session 2, I will start with Professor Mana, and then move to Engineer Precious, and then Professor Charles, and then Engineer Chine will be the last respondent. So Professor Mana, do you think the academia needs to collaborate with the industry? If yes, why? I know we've touched on some of these points during the course of the question, but we'll just give you, say, a minute to just maybe shed more light on this. Do you think the academia needs to collaborate with the industry? And then if yes, how, why, and how? Let me add the why and how.
That's a very good question. The academia needs to collaborate with the industry for several reasons. Let me start with students' projects. Students' projects, undergraduate, postgraduates. If you go to the universities, you see some quality projects gathering dust, not developed. Once the students graduate, that's the end of that project, no development. I've personally seen some projects that if we had partnership with industry, this could be developed further and commercialized. But where are they? They have ended off. These boys just did this project, collect certificate and go. And by the time they defend this project, everybody will clap for them. Very good projects. They are there in the shelves. In fact, in my department, we build small sample of this project that students do, and we demonstrate it, and it works. But is it developed? It's not developed because there's no follow-up. So I believe that if there's a collaboration between the academia and industry, industry could actually support the development of these projects, and it could be commercialized. That is one. Then number two is that, for example, ICT is a blowing industry across the world. Nigeria mostly, a lot of people are subscribed. In Akwa Ibom here, you know, it's a blowing industry. If you go to Plaza here, Plaza there at Uyo, if you go to that Plaza, a lot of ICT activities are going on. These telecommunications companies, they're making tons of money from Nigeria, but how much investment have they done to develop infrastructure where they are operating? Why can't they visit University of Uyo and say, we are going to build, we are going to provide this facility, we are going to provide that can enhance the learning of telecommunications in the university, so that, in fact, these products go to them. When we graduate students, they are the ones taking our products. So there should be a collaboration. They should support us. There should be collaboration. There should be interest. They need to know what we are doing. They should come into the university and say, let us see your electronic laboratory. How is it? Do we have this? Do we have that? If we say we don't have it, then they should be able to come up and come to assistance through the university management. Not simply sitting there and taking our products. When they get our products, they send them on a few months training and they start to use them without looking backward to see the background they came from, what and what do they have. Okay, so but my main concern is the projects I've seen. Sometimes I feel very bad that these projects are going to die like that. No, it's not developed. Not developed because we don't have the capacity to develop them. Once the students graduate, that's the end. So there should be a kind of a synergy between the industry and the academia. So look, I'm in electrical engineering. So I don't see anything wrong in, let me say, any of these communication companies that is around here. They can come into the university at the end of every session and say, let us see the projects their communication students did. Can we develop them? Can we provide a kind of support so that there will be encouragement, so there can be progress in technology in this country? Not us depending on foreign technology all the time. Like Professor Oko said, look at the software that was developed. The software that that's the UTAS that ASU came up with. Developed by university professors, university lecturers. But what did they do? Instead of even consulting us, government had no confidence in us. They went and imported a kind of software that nobody understands. Nobody understands as it was, and it's even faulty. That software is faulty. What ASU has demonstrated, even the president of this country is giving kudos to ASU. The Minister of Education is giving kudos to ASU. That he has made them, that he has read in the papers with Professor and the Ministers of Education said that ASU has made him proud. That means there's something that the other one does not have. And the other one is imported with tons of money. It's capital flights going out of this country. Okay, how much would the government pay ASU to develop the software which they went to import? And the kind of money. You don't even recognize what you have. You don't value what you have. You have no confidence in your own work. So not only industry, the government should collaborate with the university, the higher institution, and develop the projects that students have come up with during their final year. So that's my submission. That's my submission. That is, there are tons of projects in my department that could be developed. They are there, lying, looking for one to assistant to sort of and develop. So that is what I'm looking at. That collaboration should be there. That collaboration should be there. Thank you.
Okay. Can we wait a little for our moderator? It seems his network just disconnected. So let's just wait a few seconds for him to reconnect.
Excuse me.
Okay, so maybe while waiting, we could see if there are questions that we could take. Okay, there's a question from Okeke Oluru. He says, if the academia is important to the industry as co-laborers for the enhancement of result-oriented research, what is our plan to fund independent researchers who are not in the academia or university? Question from Engineer Okeke. Okay, so Engineer Chine, could you comment on how can you are an independent researcher, you have products you've developed, so you're a very good person to answer the question. For people who want to develop their products who are not in the academia or the industry, independent, how can they source for funding? Please, could you just chip in briefly on that? Thank you.
Okay, I will expressly mention one or two, but we can't actually take the academia out of it. One is if you're an independent researcher, first of all, you have to start by self-funding the research, and then you seek collaboration with the academia, then with the relevant industries as well, so that your research will be holistic and result-oriented to be a solution to the targeted problem. So the lack of funding in research has made research and product and services development very difficult in Nigeria. So because some people know you don't have a kind of research grant for independent researchers in Nigeria. I don't know if it's available, but I've not heard about it. So there is no enlightenment in that area. But you can do your research, get a prototype of your product as an idea, then you can get a grant, maybe outside Nigeria, and then you support your research. Then another way is going to the industry, and now the relevant industry, and then you collaborate with them as an independent researcher to get a product. Maybe you sign agreements and all that, maybe non-exclusive agreement or a kind of collaborative agreement and all that. So for me, I think I've done that, and I actually collaborated with some institutions, and they allowed me to use their laboratory and all that and all that to do some analysis and all that, and that helped to reduce the cost of the research in that process. So you can always do that. Get the relevant industry, get the relevant academia, get funding from grants and all that to collaborate. I think that helps. These things now, these three major things will help an independent researcher, and that's we have done, and it has been very, very helpful. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Chineye, for your submission. All right, so so sorry that I was cut off network and everything in between. That was what just happened, but I'm fully back now. Thank you, Professor Mana, for taking the first question, the second question you took, and your response. So Engineer Precious, now I'll be directing this question to you, Engineer Precious. How will you rate? Okay, how will you rate industry-academia collaboration currently as it is in Nigeria? How will you rate the collaboration between the industry and academia currently as it
Honestly,
is?
honestly speaking, it is poor.
Yeah.
Very
Why?
poor.
Why?
Okay, why I'm saying that is because really, like Professor Umana said earlier, that there are a lot of projects sitting still in offices of lecturers that could bring about change in Nigeria, but they are yet to see the light of the day. And that's because there are no collaborations between the academia and industries. You know, as an academia, you cannot just bring your ideas to light alone. It's almost impossible. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, man. We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So I said, as an academia, it is almost impossible for you to bring your ideas to light alone. And that's where the industry comes in. I think during this week, myself and Mr. Tochukwu, we spoke. I had some things I wanted to do, and then we were asking, and he said, honestly, Precious, in Nigeria, we are still trying to bridge that gap. And I said, well, that's where we find ourselves, but we still have to do some things about it. So if I want to rate the collaborations between academia and industry, it's really, really poor. And the reason being that the industry and the academia, they don't know whether to be innovative or inventive. I don't know if I'm speaking. Like, they don't know whether to be innovative or inventive. We are so used to operations and maintenance, repair, but how many industries are truly inventive? Everything we have, I'm speaking from an electrical point of view, an electrical engineer's point of view. How many equipments or appliances are made in Nigeria? That's where we should know that there's a problem. So before we can even enhance anything, we need to really know what the problem is. Is it that we lack ideas? Or are we innovative enough or inventive enough? Because if you have ideas that you cannot bring to life, there's no point having the idea. So in a way, that's where the problem is. So I will rate it as being poor.
Poor. All right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, man. Professor Charles, sir. Professor Charles, you've worked with governments in different capacities at both the state level, the national level, various level, regional level. What roles do you think governments can play in enhancing industry-academia collaboration? What roles can government play, and how can we make government play these roles in enhancing this collaboration?
The first thing is a mindset. In 1961, the Russians surprised the Americans by putting a man to space. 43 days after that, President Kennedy, while addressing a joint session of Congress, said America must put a man on the moon before the end of this decade. And he said, NASA, over to you. 8 years and a few months after, NASA landed men on the moon. That is what we are talking about. The government has serious problems now. We have foreign exchange problems. I thought they would call us and say, look, this is where our money is going. This is what we are importing. What can you guys do about all these imports so that our money doesn't go out like this? If we know those items that are eating a lot of our foreign reserves, I'm very sure that within 1 year, universities will shock this nation by the alternatives that they'll come up with. But you see, governance seems to be about praying for oil prices to increase or for more Chinese loans so they can construct railways. I was saying, why don't you finish Jakarta first? So that even if you are not doing any other thing, we can give the Chinese our steel steel section from Ajakuta. But now you want to award all the contracts for all the railways in the country. And we don't have any part we are playing. So until this mindset is corrected, whereby the idea is let us get money and import. When we begin to ask our people, like Kennedy did, you'll be very surprised. By the time Kennedy gave NASA that assignment, nobody knew how to get to the moon. But NASA collaborated with a lot of universities in America and 10 companies to be able to get Apollo 11 down to the moon. So unless there is a change in mindset, when government says, look, we are in trouble, we don't have enough foreign exchange to pay for these things. What can you guys do? These are the things we are importing. Please begin to tell us how we can replace these things with local equivalents. When that doesn't happen, we are not going anywhere.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for your contributions. You've actually raised a lot of valid issues, which are very critical to this conversation. Engineer Chine, what benefits will schools get by partnering with the industry? What benefits from your own experience as someone who has played actively in the industry, what benefit will school get by partnering with the industry?
Well, thank you very much for the question. The benefit, one of the major benefits is that like Professor Charles said, it will help the academia the academics to actually focus on real problems. I mean, on solving real problems, finding solutions to the realities of the day, because it is the industries that actually providing solutions to existing problems, and even making a kind of progress in innovation and inventions to a kind of modify or improve on how existing problems are being solved. So if the universities are collaborating with the industries, most of their researches, most of their papers will be tailored towards solving, real problems. And that would be very, very good for the collaboration, because most of the products and services that have been imported into Nigeria today must have been developed by the university and industry, the academia and the industry collaboration. And then the industry will be the one to actually push it into the market. And then the university name will be there. So, and then the university is being promoted. So I think that's what happens in some institutions in developed countries. They collaborate with industries, they do that. So the benefit is enormous. So it will help Nigeria to solve the real problem.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so another round of questions. Currently now we have already about 6-7 questions. Questions are just pouring in. If I've been looking at it to look at how do we tend to take all of these questions. So to our panelists, once the question is directed at you, please will appreciate if you just use maximum of 2 minutes to respond to these. And in a sense, many of the questions, some of the questions will be directed to both Professor Charles and Professor Mana, because some of them are institution-based questions. So they will be in a better position. The ones that relates to synergy we will direct to Engineer Precious and Engineer Chineye, and then as well. Okay, so I have this question. must they wait? Now, Professor Mana, you will pick this question. You'll be responding to this question, sir. The question is, one of our participants is asking, must schools wait till students are in final year before they I think it said, I'm thinking that's also a problem in the case where the students are more interested in graduating than in research. That is talking about final year projects. That must Faculty of Engineering wait, or must the schools wait until students are in their final year before we begin to engage them in meaningful projects? You know, this may also go a very long way in fostering the spirit of research. Professor Mana, just 1 minute for this question.
No, not really. You don't have to wait to final year. In my school, we have sideways program, we have sway program, and we encourage students to take up mini projects. We take up many projects right from year 4, because you know, in the university system, when you come into university to study engineering, the first 2 years you are studying general courses like that. So by year 3, that's when you go into your departmental courses. So the student is matured in the 4th year. In fact, that's the main reason we send students out on industrial attachment during the second semester in year 4. Okay, by that time they are matured in their area of studies, and they acquire more knowledge, they acquire more experience. When they come back from industry, they are given project topics. And before they graduate, they are encouraged to take mini projects. Mini projects in the sense that at the departmental level, you come up with, you can build some prototype, discuss with their project supervisor, and come up, or the course advisor, and come up with certain things that will help you to do the final year project. If along the line, before you get to that final project, their project is spectacular and the word is what demonstrative in the department level, we encourage them to do that. That's actually encouraged. We don't have to wait to the final year. But then, let me hit the final year project. We are very serious with final year projects in my department. Final year project, gone is a time when students simply write something and come and bind and submit. You have to build it. Why do we have to build it? You have to build it and demonstrate it. And we see that we can develop this thing. We ask in the University of Uyo, we have a department, a unit called Intellectual Property Unit, which I'm the coordinator. I'm the coordinator of that unit. Intellectual Property Department, Intellectual Property Office, Intellectual Property and Technology Development Office, which I'm the coordinator. And it's not that unit is not only serving the University of Uyo, it serves the community. It serves the Akwa Ibom. It serves across, let me say, South. Okay, intellectual property. Any technology, any innovation that anybody does that is worth development and patenting, bring it to us. We facilitate it. That's the unit that people may not, people don't even know. So the student is not only when you get the final year that you can come up with projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So the very last set of statements you made have actually addressed one of our questions. I was going to ask you a follow-up question that has part A and B, but you've actually addressed the part A already, because the part A was saying, why are projects not focused on generation of intellectual property? But you've actually also picked that already, that, for example, using your school as an example, that is happening already. It's actually very wonderful to hear that. Now, but as a follow-up to that question, very quickly, Professor Mana, before I come to Professor Charles, also, the question is, the second part of that question from Ola Akin is, why is it difficult for faculties and departments to allow collaborations on projects by students in different departments and faculties? I think this, the questionnaire is trying to raise the need for perhaps interdisciplinary collaboration. So why is it difficult for us to have interdisciplinary collaboration across departments? Why must I, for example, I studied chemical engineering. Why must my project be basically on chemical engineering, basically in that department? Why can't I collaborate with perhaps someone in computer to come up with something and all of that? Can you quickly just respond to this in a minute, Professor Mana?
That is a very smart question and critical question. Yes, for example, if somebody studies mechatronics, if somebody studies robotics and mechatronics, you have mechanical engineering input, you have electronics engineering input, you have computer engineering input there. Now, the thing is this, in Faculty of Engineering, in the University of Uyo, for instance, all mechanical, in fact, all the engineering students take a course, electronics engineering course in the third year. I taught electronics engineering to the entire faculty. The entire faculty engineering, that's year 3, electronics engineering to mechanical, civil, electrical, computer, and all that. So all of them have background of electronics engineering. Fine. So by the time they go out, even only petroleum engineering do not take that course. So by the time they go out, because we not come to realize that mechanical engineering needs electrical knowledge, electrical system. To want to build a panel to control the compressor, which is mechanical, you need knowledge in electronics. So by the time, for example, a mechanical engineering student goes out to do a final year project that requires electronics background, he has that knowledge. And by the way, if his knowledge is not sufficient, he's at liberty to approach us in the electrical, electronics, and we will give the support. That does not mean that we are going to take the credits, but his assistance coming to, we work as a team, we work as a family in that faculty. They can come to our lab and conduct practicals and do research. We can also go to their lab and do research. So that is happening already. It's happening.
All right, Prof. Prof, I think just very quickly, what this person is asking is collaboration between students in different departments and faculty. Yes.
Okay. In that aspect, it depends on the understanding. Let me still use mechanical and electrical. If a student is doing a project in electrical on electronics engineering project, and the other student is doing a project in mechanical, they can come together and work, and that understanding will be there during defense. That this is an electromechanical project, and just using the 2 departments, for instance, that understanding could be there because it's symbiotic. You cannot separate the 2. So during the presentation, that will be explained and know that they work together. After all, we have group projects in my department. We have individual projects. We also have group projects. So if a student in my department, for instance, collaborates with a student in mechanical, another department, they come up with a project and they build a prototype, the credits will be given to 2 of them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, sir. On that, lastly, will the faculties, that is the lecturers and the department, will they permit that? Will they permit the scenario you've just painted? Will it be permitted? Yes or no, sir? Will it be permitted?
It has not happened. It has not happened yet. So this kind of idea could be presented. This kind of idea can be presented at the faculty level. But right now, it has not happened yet. I'm not going to stand. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what has not happened. It has not happened yet. But it's something that could be looked into.
And then we can also make it happen, sir. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
We can look into that as a man. We could look into that as a faculty.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Very quickly before I come to Professor Charles, I want to read someone made a submission via the chat section, and that's Okechukwu Mbo. He said, the collaboration between industry and academia should be configured differently. He said the starting point is for academia to realize that they are more of a service provider to commerce and industry. He said there is no point for the academia to continue producing goods and services that are not of any interest to commerce and industry. He said until there is a major change in this mindset, we will continue to accumulate research projects within the academia ecosystem that will be of no value to the commerce and industry. So basically what I could just pick from what Okechukwu is trying to say is the fact that I think the academia may need to lean towards the industry in trying to understand what are some of the problems and challenges they are having, and then convert these problems and challenges to projects or what have you for students to work on, such that whatever project reports students are coming out with are actually project reports that are really solving peculiar problems that are needed in the industry. Thank you so much. It's a very good contribution. And for me, I feel if we can do this, it will go a very long way in helping us to avoid our projects just gathering dust in the offices and in some bookshelves in the faculties. Thank you. Professor Charles, very quickly, I'm being very conscious of our time, and we still have one more final session to go. But Professor Charles, one or two questions directed to, so Daniel Olagunju is saying the lack of synergy between the academic and the industry is hinged on many factors. He said one of it is lack of communication and unwillingness of many industries to release data. He said, can there be a data collection platform where industries can put out their challenges and interested researchers can pick it up from there? So, Professor Charles, what do you have to say to this? What do you have to say to this? Very quickly, sir.
The issue is that somebody has to define the problem before you go to collect data. What problems have industries identified in the current Nigerian situation? Because the academia only goes in when he knows what he's going to do there. A few months ago, I had a research problem that needed my going to one of the very big multinationals in the construction industry. I was very shocked to find that the same kind of test I wanted to do, they were also doing that test in my backyard in Uyo here. I didn't know about that. It was a very interesting test. And you see that academia needs to move closer to the companies by direct contact. Find out what the challenges are so that in trying to carry out research, your research is aligned. Like the young man that just sent that contribution talking about research addressing the problem of commerce and industry. Unless we begin to do researches that address the problems of commerce and industry, this synergy with industry is still going to be very, very difficult. Because no industry is interested in basic research. They want research that improve their work, their profitability and reduce their running costs.
All right.
And, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Lastly for you, there's one other question here that says, Prof, why is some institution finding it very difficult to sponsor practicals in their labs? Instead, they are embarking on alternative to practical, which made the students find it difficult to fit in well in the industry.
That's an interesting one. My department has 540-something students. And I was telling somebody that if the students were asked to pay bench fees of just 10,000 naira a session, we will have about 5 million naira available. With that kind of resource base, no student will bring his own personal money to do projects. Sponsoring of specimens, paying for materials to be used in workshops and laboratories will come from the university system without students and their parents having to bring money. But this one, you say education must be free. And university students are paying less than what children in nursery schools are paying. So when we want to go and do concrete tests in the lab, who brings the cement? Is it from this 50,000 naira that they pay in a year that we are going to get cement and granite for tests in the lab? Unless this mindset is changed, both on the part of the students, on the part of ASU, and the part of government, that education must be paid for by somebody. We'll continue to have the problems we are having because our problem is self-made. You pretend to offer free education and you are offering nonsense so that people cannot find real materials to do practicals and you are doing alternative to practicals. Is that how you compete with the Chinese?
Mm. Thank you so much, sir. You've already raised a very critical issue. I would just want it to end there. I think the message is already well gotten by everybody and every party involved. Because we know that definitely that's not how we are going to compete with the Chinese. Lastly, before we move to the last session, Engineer Precious, if you're there, I want to direct this question to you. Kenneth Chidozie is asking, he said, most of the major industries in Nigeria are foreign and are here for profits. How can the academia attract these industries to pick interest in the, how can the academia attract these industries to pick interest in the academia and see profits in partnership with them? So that is, how can the industries partner with the academia to pick interest in them and see profit in the partnership with them? Engineer Precious, if you're there, you can unmute yourself.
I'm here.
Okay, all right, please, ma.
Okay, one thing my little experience have taught me is that there's no how you are innovative enough that you will not be found out. So if you have something of value to offer, nobody wants to shy away from it. But imagine if you have a project at hand, you cannot defend it. You don't have good backings to support your claim. If you are going to an industry, of course, that's why you have business plans. So people, if you see investors, they will ask you, how do you think this thing will play in the market? What is the aim? What do you gain? What do you think you can achieve through selling these products? So it doesn't just come that they will just jump on it. Else, they are businessmen. Don't let us forget that industries, people running industries are businessmen. At the end of the day, they want to make profits. So whatever you are bringing to the table, imagine you are not tackling the problem. You just want to be inventive. You have to, the things that we need to start creating as an engineer are things that will make people lazy. Why am I saying it? For example, now, imagine somebody who has been standing for so long and then you decide to create a chair. You know that you have made the person lazy. The person can always sit down. Every one of us, we are sitting down one way or the other. Look at our smartphone. I don't have to travel down to the village to go and visit people. I just need to make a call. You have made me lazy, but I'm also enjoying it. So if the solutions you are providing does not meet any need, I'm not saying want now. So you have to be able to differentiate between want and need. If those things are not met, nobody wants to invest in it, regardless of how beautiful or aesthetically good your products are. So I think that's where the major things are. If you check abroad, they know the things to do. You see young people with good inventions coming out. It's not because they have the fund, but because they can table it well to the people that matters. Imagine if you are a granite seller and you go into Lekki to be selling 10 naira granules. Do you think the rich will buy from you? No. There are ways in which you have to package your things. You have to package yourself to get their attention. So it's not just about having the inventions. There are a lot of things that will back it up. How you package it for ready use. So they will now know that, okay, this thing has a prospect. Let's see, okay, if I give you $1 billion, this should get it across. You've not done your market plan and then you want a company to take it on. It's not possible.
All right, thank you so much, ma.
Like I said, I was speaking to Mr. All right, sir.
Okay,
right.
You've raised quite a number of very valid issues, which I believe the academia and everyone involved, we're all actually listening, and of a truth, your submission is very valid. Your submission is very valid. Thank you so much, Matt. So very quickly, lastly, we will move to the last session of our discussion this afternoon, the last session of our discussion. And I'll be starting with Professor Charles. So Professor Charles, Please get ready for me. I'll be starting with you. The question is, as a former vice president of Koren, what role could Koren play to facilitate collaboration between stakeholders in the industry and academia? Are there any roles being currently played that we're not aware of? And then what role can Koren actually play to make this synergy work?
The Koren has been trying to push through a number of issues. Some of the executive orders signed by the president of recent are largely the result of underground work by Koren. The Nigerian Content Monitoring and Development Board is a product of Koren silent action. Now, as a result of that, so many industries are receiving help in the oil and gas area because you now have training, you have funding, and you have reservation of some projects for Nigerian companies only. Even in the construction industry, Koren has gone far enough to get the president to sign Executive Order 8 that said Nigerian companies should be considered first before foreign ones are given any chance. But of course, even with that goodwill from Mr. President, we still find pockets of resistance when it comes to implementation level. And I think it's going to be a long haul. We have to just keep on pushing gradually. And those talking about research grants now, Nigerian Content Monitoring and Development Board has come up with a research fund of about 9 billion for this year, even larger than what TED Fund has brought out. And even the private researchers and developers will benefit from that fund. And that is again a product of Koren trying to push. Korea has been pushing a lot of policy issues. Now look at technical education. Korea has submitted papers to government on technical education. That what we are having at present is a mockery. You say you have technical school. You go there and find 5,000 human beings. Where are you going to get lathe machines for all of them to train on? Where do you get welding machines for 5,000 students in a technical school? Are you not deceiving yourself? Korean made some recommendations, and those things have not been taken up yet. Korean is trying to work now with state governments because they have a lot to do in that area to see whether we can change and begin to produce technicians and craftsmen that can handle modern production processes. Most of those people cannot use CNC machines that are likely used in industries now. And they're still on the old lathe machines that nobody's using again. So we have to just hope that after all these efforts by Korean, things will also begin to change.
All right. Thank you so much for that. You've raised a lot of critical issues, and you've also been able to expose us to some of what Koren is currently doing to actually ensure that these collaborations take place. Very quickly, Professor Professor Mwana, the next question is going to be directed to you. What will Nigeria as a country gain if the industry collaborates with the academia? What will be our major takeaway? What will we gain if the industry collaborates with the academia?
Number one, to answer that question directly, number one, we save the capital flight, the money we are losing now, consulting overseas and importing. Because what you are looking for outside, you have it with you, but you don't value it. Maybe you don't even recognize out of ignorance that you can do. In fact, a clear example, which I still want to point out, look at the IPPIAs we're talking about, integrated payroll system, which the government imported. Didn't they pay for it? They pay for it. I don't know how much they pay for it, but that money could have been used for something else in the country, because our own system here, the university system, they also develop a better software than what they are bringing to force on us. And that is done in-house. So that money is saved. That money is saved. Anything it is a collaboration between industry and the academia. Most of these things, most of the improvement of products, which they take to other country for consultancy, it could have been done here in Nigeria. The universities here could handle that to improve upon their product. And let me mention this point again. And I want us to take this point very seriously. There's no feedback. There's no feedback between the consumer and the producer in this country. There's none. I don't know if there's any product you bought in the stores and you see anywhere the manufacturer says you can get back to us through this phone number or through this email or through a prepaid postage. Tell us how we are doing. Because you cannot say we don't have problem. You may not have problem, you don't know. But the person that is using that, I've seen a lot of products, I've bought certain things in the store and I've seen defects. And there's no way to get back to the manufacturer. If they provide a means of consumers getting back to them, their problem will be identified to them. And what to do after identifying the problem, how do you solve it? Consult the universities. Don't run overseas. Don't spend your money to go overseas. Look, the universities are here. Look, University of Uyo, the chemical engineering, the petroleum engineering department, the civil, we are all there. We are all there to serve. Take your problems to us. Come to the faculty. Write to us, and we'll tell you what to do from there. We can take it up as a challenge. Challenge us, and we see you see product, you see something coming up. If the government did not challenge us, when I'm talking as a member of us now, the government challenged us, and we came up with a software better than what they are using. So that money is going to be saved. That money would have been saved. The money they use in importing that IPPIAs would have been saved to do something else in this country. We are looking for. The Professor Charles said we are praying for oil prices to go up. We are praying for Chinese to give us more loans. Why? Because you don't know what you have. You don't value what you have. Okay. In fact, in the first place, why are the Chinese here? Let me ask that question. Why are the Chinese here? These guys are not going back tomorrow. They are here for good. Why is a Jakarta not coming out? Why is it not producing? Okay. You go and you open your gates and bring on Chinese to flood this place. Look at the roads they are doing. I'm sorry to say this. The roads are not good. Put me that I say so. They are not. The roads Chinese are building are not good compared to what we had before. Okay, because they cannot pay for the other guy is. I don't want to mention the name, but you know the company I'm talking about. The Chinese product cannot match the other guy's product. Their finishing cannot match the other person, but because you cannot pay for it. That's why you run to China. That's cheaper. You bring the Chinese and flood in Nigeria. Railway, they are there. Highways, they are there. They want to go to power. Sir. They want to go into everything. Whereas, okay, how many of university consultancy units have you challenged? Give us projects that we cannot handle, and then you blame us. You don't even try it at all. You go open and bring Chinese. You fill all this place, and you say there's no money. There's no money. Okay, capital flight will be saved. So much. Capital flight will be saved if we turn back to academia. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Yes, Mr. Clinton. Very quickly, I could see you. You want to say something?
I think I love what Professor Mana just said. He said we should challenge the universities. That's my takeaway. We should challenge them. So if there are problems in the industry that you want to be solved, take it to the universities and give them as a challenge and see what they will do. I love that submission, and I think we'll work on that. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Clinton. So the universities are asking to be challenged, and then let's see what the outcome of that challenge will look like. All right, so very quickly, Engineer Chine, I'll be directing this next question to you, Engineer Chine, very quickly. What will student gain from industry academia collaboration? What will student gain from industry and academia collaboration? Engineer Chine.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's a problem in the students we have right now, especially from the tertiary institutions going into the employment market or even into entrepreneurship. So there's a problem there. The problem is that most of these students, they don't have skill, but they have the academic knowledge from the university, but they don't have skill. They don't have, okay, assuming maybe you are graduating a chemical engineer who supposed to have a skill in one or two softwares used by chemical engineers in design and in production. And he doesn't have that skill, but he knows all the equations and can do the design theoretically, but there's no practical skill on that. So the students now coming to the industry where they use these softwares, where these equipment are used in production and all that, he can have a skill. So what the students stand to gain is the practical skill that will prepare them to actually go into the industry. I mean, being able to fit into the industry with the skill, since they have the academic knowledge from the school. So there is an assessment in, I think, 6 areas sponsored by, I think, ITA and UNEDO. There's a report like that on the Industrial Master Plan of Nigeria. It was stated there that is a problem that the students we produce here in Nigeria, they don't have the required skill, either to be employable in most industries. They don't have the skill to start their own business. And when a student is graduating from the university, you have 2 options, especially in Nigeria right now, because of what is happening, the population and all whatnot. We have students that will graduate, they're not employable, and they don't have a skill. So they can't start their own business. But if there's a collaboration, the students will gain these 2 things. They will have practical skill to be more employable, so that they will reduce the training, the industries, because most of these industries, most of them don't even have money to train the students on those practical aspects. While some spend a lot of money to train them before they start work. But if that is done before the students comes out of graduates from the university, I mean, the students will be absorbed, and the value of the students will also increase, and the value the students will also add in solving problems will also increase. Then the students can also come out to start his or her own, business, having acquired a skill.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So lastly, Engineer Precious. So this question is for you, and is actually the 2 different questions. One is just more or less like a yes or no, and then I will take the second one. So the first one is your company open for collaborations with the academia? Yes, I just need your response to that. Yeah, that's 1 minute.
Yeah, my company.
Yes,
my company is open for collaborations.
All right. So secondly, how can industries encourage this collaboration? Now for you in the industrial sector, how can industry encourage
I think where we can come in to encourage such collaborations is also to be on the lookout. For example, now my company is an innovative, of course, our motto is we ride on the wings of innovation. So what we do is find out people are making television. Egypt, China can be built. If somebody can think it, then it's possible for it to come alive. So yes, the way we can encourage it is by looking out for potentials, innovative solutions, something that you can invent and then work on it.
Thank you so much, Ma.
So I think that's the major way that we can encourage it.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. So finally, I'll just pick one or two, three questions, and then I will we'll wrap up this meeting for today. We'll wrap up. I'll bring in the host to actually say one or two things. But one or two questions very quickly. Professor Mana, I have a question directed to you from Harrison Edopolo. It said, does academic institutions collaboration with industry, shift the focus away from basic research? If yes, what are the consequences of this shift? Professor Mana.
Well, to answer that question, my answer is no, it does not shift. Okay. Harrison, I think I can recognize Harrison now. He was my student, both undergraduate and master. I hope that's the same Harrison I'm talking to. So, yes, I recognize the guy now. He was my student. I think he went to UK to do a master's also in control engineering. The answer is no. The basic research responsibility of universities is still there. Now, the industry comes into support to build that capacity, to build that background, okay? To build that background, to build a higher capacity. It does not take that research responsibility away. The basic research responsibility is still there in the university system. What we need is the industry coming in to build capacity, okay? Getting in touch with us to find out areas of need where they can support us, where they can come to assistance. What we don't have, they can provide to us. I take example in my computer engineering department. Why can't these communication companies, electronics and communication companies, come in there and say, oh, we have an electronics engineering department, we have communications department here, MTN, Airtel, and Blue. Come in, let's see, what do you have? What, can you do this for us? Can you do that for us? In fact, that is the kind of thing I expect. Not just for them to remain dormant and carry out the operations here. When you have universities here, they have problems, they run to their base country and do the consultancy, whereas you have engineering faculty next door to you. You don't see how you can solve, how they can solve your problem. You need that trust and confidence should be built within the industry and the academia, so that we can have synergy and move forward together and turn out better products that will be employable, products that will increase the market value in the operations. That's my submission.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your submission. I will still come back to you briefly, but Professor Charles, I have two questions for you. I'll combine them together because of our time so that we can begin to tie up all of what we're doing. Professor Charles, now the first question is, a lot of engineering graduates have turned entrepreneurs, but not in their field of study because there are no opportunities to practice. I think I can agree to this as well, because I think I'm one as well. I'm an engineering student, very strong foundation in chemical engineering. If I remember, I was using some chemical engineering software, but now I'm moving to education, and now we're an entrepreneur in that area. Now, what is the engineering body doing about this so that in the nearest future, we will not have fewer engineers? Very quickly, I have another question, but very quickly, just answer it.
Right. The world that we have entered is a different ball game. Out of the 20-something banks in Nigeria now, managing directors of 3 of them had first degrees in engineering. People should look at a first degree as a general training that empowers you to do so many things in the world of today. There's nothing wrong with one day an engineer owning the largest medical chain in this country, employing consultants to operate in different areas of medicine, We are talking about entrepreneurship. So I'm not scared by that move at all. As many of them that can even go and do things outside engineering, fine by me. After all, it's a lawyer that packaged Terminal 2, Murtala Mohammed Airport. He got that concession and employed us engineers to go and work there. He also got Lagos Ibadan Expressway and got engineers to work for him. So if any day engineers can package something and get medical doctors to work for them, I will go to church for Thanksgiving. So let us not be scared. The training that they have got, a banker told me that they like employing engineers in the banks, that they are very good with figures. And then analysis, the way they think is different from what many others do. Therefore, I'm so happy to hear that so many of them are leaving, and I will encourage them to leave. After all, that first degree we gave them empowers them to do almost anything, except operation of patients in the theaters.
All right, sir. But I think that question is now looking at what are we going to do to ensure that in the nearest future, we will not be having fewer engineers.
You have so many of these engineering graduates coming out. My university, we churn out about 100. Akwa Ibom State University churns out about 80 civil engineers. Where on earth are you going to employ 180 civil engineers in Akwa Ibom State every year? Therefore, don't be very surprised that some of them will become MDs of very large food manufacturing and marketing chains because of the engineering knowledge you have given them. So the situation now is that people are not going to remain. Don't be afraid. We have too many that we have trained already. That even if 50% go away, we'll still have plenty left.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. So lastly for you, sir. Lastly for you, this question is directed to you. Prof, sir, do you think that the 2% education fund pay on projects to NCMDB is judiciously used? If so, how can one benefit from it?
The NCMDB is doing a very great job. Like they are pushing a refinery to come out very soon. Yes, a modular refinery. They are pushing all kinds of things to come out. And very soon they'll advertise for the research grants that is going to alter the arena of research in this country. Even TED fund has changed. Before you could not get grants up to 20 million naira from TED fund. But recently they've started giving grants up to 35 million. Because they've seen that for people to do serious research, some of those grants may be up to 100 million. And I think Nigerian Content Board might be giving grants up to about that. Because some serious groundbreaking researches are very expensive. And Nigerian Content Board is certainly going to go places.
All right, sir. So the question, the second part of that question is saying, so how can individuals, maybe say from the private sector now, not necessarily in the academia, how can maybe industrialists, how can they benefit from these funds that are available, these opportunities that are available now?
I think a person should log in onto the website of the Content Development Board and see what they have to offer. Because they have a lot of things they are doing by way of training, supporting capacity building in academia, and all kinds of things. Support the private sector. They have some loan facilities to help those in the private sector to be able to enter into the industry. Now, even this trend 7 of LNG that is coming up, the content monitoring board has ensured that a good chunk of those jobs are going to be domiciled in Nigeria. So the things are changing. Let people go to find out what they have to offer, and they may certainly find where they can key in.
All right, thank you, Prof. But before you go, I still have one more question that I feel you will be in the best place to answer. So sorry, sir, I'm putting you under very hot
No
seat,
problem, sir.
but because of your experience. Now, Ijeoma Biora is also asking, he said, don't you think there's a need to review the engineering curriculum, which is more of theory courses than practical, because companies today are looking for students with practical skills more than theory? Well, for me, just rephrasing that question, Prof, don't you think there's a need to review our engineering curriculum to be much more tailored towards 21st century fluencies and skill sets?
I really support that contributor. I am seriously for us reviewing the present curriculum. We spent 5 years here. Last time I enumerated that a typical engineering student here does almost one semester of unnecessary courses during the time in the university. For example, what business have I as a civil engineering student to do with thermodynamics? What am I going to do with thermodynamics? The thermodynamics that I learned in year 2, can it ever help me to repair any machine? Why don't you take those things out and allow space for me to be trained on software for structural design, software for hydraulic design, software for geotechnical investigation and design, than saying you want to produce an all-rounded engineer and you end up taking up so much space. My second son studied in Kwame Nkrumah University. They do electrical engineering for 4 years. When he compared notes with his brother that studied here in Nigeria, my first son was shocked because my second son did not do strength of materials. And yet he knew more of electrical engineering than this other human being that was meant to do strength of materials for 2 semesters. So we really need to look at what we are doing with ourselves so that we can concentrate on the courses that can empower our graduates with the relevant skills in the areas, instead of trying to make them jack of all trades and master of none.
So who doing on that last?
Hello? Hello, I'm listening.
I just need to let you go, Prof. But what requires for this change for this curriculum review? How do we go by it? More or less, that's something I'm just asking. Lastly, from your hand, sir.
This is the starting point. At least some people are hearing me out now.
Okay.
I presented it to a forum of engineers. Of course, some kicked against it, some supported it. So we'll keep on pushing that one day we'll get there. Because even some professors do not agree with what I'm saying now. They still insist that I should go and read chemical engineering, introduction to chemical engineering in year 2. Of what use is that to a civil engineer? If I have a problem of chemical engineering, let me call a chemical engineer to solve for me as a civil engineer. I have electrical problem, I call Professor Itaitu to solve my electrical problem, instead of me pretending that that course of electrical technology that he taught in year 2 is enough for me to go and handle electrical problems.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. I think that's about that. That's about all we can take for this afternoon. Before I will do the closing remark and thank everyone. So I want to call on Dr. Innocent, to do the closing remark on behalf of the Dean of Faculty of Engineering, University of Uyo. Dr. Innocent, sir, you can unmute yourself for the closing remark.
Okay, thank you. We've had a nice time, and the panelists, they have handled the topic of enhancing industry academia collaboration, how to bridge the gap between tertiary institutions and the industry very well. I know that. I think we've listened, and we'll see how we go from there. I want to thank you all for attending this webinar on behalf of the Dean of Engineering, Professor Aneka Opiong. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Innocent Obo, for that closing remark, and say as well to the Dean as well. All right. We'll now invite the host, Mr. Clinton, to take the announcements and do a thanks to the partners and everyone. Mr. Clinton.
Unmute yourself.
You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I want to thank everyone that has been a part of this webinar. It has been very interesting. I've laughed, I've taken notes, you know, I've enjoyed myself, and I've learned a lot. And I believe that the same with most people that participated. So the panelists, thank you all for honoring the invitation by Professor Charles, Dr. Innocent, Teachers Academy, Femi, Engineer Chinene, Professor Mana, Engineer Precious, all the people that has, you know, been a part of this, Professor Charles, we are grateful. You've made it worthwhile. Special thanks to the moderator. You've done a wonderful job in the moderation. Special thanks to all the participants. We have people connecting from different parts of the country and even beyond. Thank you for bringing our time to join us. Thank you for the comments, you know, the questions, the contributions. You made it a great event. And also I'm thanking the Faculty of Engineering, University of Uyo, for accepting to do a collaboration. That's part of the solution. You know, the fact that the Faculty of Uyo, Engineering Faculty of Uyo is open for collaboration is why we are having this webinar today. So that's part of what, you know, we expect other universities and faculties to do, to open up the collaborations between the private sector and the academia. And so this is a good thing. And finally, I want to thank the supporters of this event, the HTT Foundation and Engineering X, which is an international collaboration founded by the Royal Academy of Engineering and then supported by Laws Register Foundation. So also thanks to our partners, Aba Chamber of Commerce, Mass and Agriculture, and University of Nigeria departments. Thank you all. And our contact should be on the screen. Just give me I'm sharing the contacts on the screen. So you can get in touch with us. You can check up our website, cic.clintonel.biz, or just Google Clintonel Innovation Centre. You can also search for us on Twitter, CIC_Makerspace, or on LinkedIn, Clintonel Innovation Centre or CIC Makerspace. So anyone, just search for Clintonel Innovation Centre or CIC Makerspace or Engineering for Industry. You find the links and then stay connected. We have many more things. These projects, the Engineering for Industry project, will transform engineering in Nigeria. So we need collaboration from more universities, from Korean, from NSE, from all the stakeholders, but we'll get there. The journey of a better man begins with a step, and we've taken the first steps. So we are in progress, and we'll get there. Thank you, and God bless.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tochukwu Clinton Chukwueke, for that closing remark. So on this note, I want to once again appreciate all our participants. Also want to thank all our panelists for making out time to really be part of this. I want to believe very strongly that our conversation around this will definitely continue and go beyond this point. Just like Mr. Tochukwu said, personally, myself, I've had to take some notes because a lot of critical issues were raised, and I believe actions will begin to take place going forward from here. Want to also thank the organizers, CIC, Clintonel Innovation Centre, and the Faculty of Engineering, University of Uyo, once again for making out time to make this a reality. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, each and everybody. We believe that in the days ahead, we'll yet have reasons to reach out to yet strengthen and deepen these communications that we have started. On this note, we want to declare this webinar closed. Thank you everyone, and God bless. Do have a wonderful weekend and a fruitful week ahead. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you again.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.